In 1897, Magnus Hirschfeld, a Jewish doctor, founded the first LGBTQ rights organization. He started the modern LGBTQ movement through science. In 1933, National Socialism came to power under Adolf Hitler. The new regime destroyed Hirschfeld's institute, burning thousands of research documents and ending his LGBTQ advocacy in Germany.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So
pregnant.
you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told
allowed
that
to
they're
question.
opening up people to violence?
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning?
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
You said trans women are women. Ms. Goss-Graves, what is a woman?
So a woman is an adult female. A woman identifies as a woman, and I actually think it is.
What
best that
do
they
you
not be
consider a
reduced to
female?
gender.
What is a female?
So there are some women who were assigned a
You
female
say
sex at
you're here to
birth. There are
defend
some
women. You say you're here to
who
defend
are
women, but shouldn't you be able to
assigned
define
male
one?
at birth.
Shouldn't you be able to define one if
That's
you're for
what
women's rights?
That's literally what
Ms.
I'm
Goss-Graves, do women have penises?
So again, I believe that women.
Democrats have gone so
I believe
crazy.
that
Women can have
should
penises.
not
That's
be
not a
reduced
thing. That's not
to
biology.
their
It's not
anatomy
science. And you sound like a lunatic.
And the women.
Should
that I
young
hear
girls
from
just
at
get
the
used to
National
penises
Women's
in their
Law
locker
Center
rooms and showers? My next
not-
question, yes or no, should little girls get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? Yes or
I
no?
don't know what you're talking about, but what I will say
Oh, I
is that
absolutely do.
privacy
We've
in
heard
locker
testimony
rooms
today
is
about trans
extremely
women. Those are women with
important.
penises. Those aren't real women.
Privacy in locker
I'm going to
rooms
reclaim
is
my time. When
extremely
President Trump
important.
issued an executive order to keep men out of women's sports, thank God he did. You said it was sexist.
Yes.
Bullying that harms all students.
Correct.
Is it sexist, yes or no, to protect women from men in sports? Yes or no?
If
Can't
you
answer the
want to
question.
protect
Is it sexist
women-
to acknowledge basic science? Men and women are
Or-
built differently. Is it sexist to acknowledge science? Can't answer the question. Does forcing
No,
little
I
girls
would
to
like to answer
does forcing
questions,
little
but you
girls
aren't
to
allowing
strip
me
down
to
in front of
answer
men in
questions.
locker
I don't
rooms
even
harm girls?
understand that.
Does forcing little girls
I would
to
like
strip
to
down
answer
in front of
questions,
men in the
but for
locker
some
room
reason you're
harm
not
little girls?
allowing
Yes or
me
no?
to answer
Can't answer the question.
I
Does
have
forcing
5
little girls to
questions
shower?
given
I'm going to
me
reclaim
no
my time. You can quit
opportunity.
talking. These are yes or no questions. You can answer
You've
them or
asked
not.
5
And you've chosen not to
questions, but you
answer the
haven't
questions
had-
today because you don't know how.
I
And
know I
it's
actually
shameful.
do know how to answer.
Do you support
questions, but
drugging
usually it
and chopping
requires
off kids'
some
genitals in
amount
the name of
time.
inclusion? Is that a
I-
thing for you?
I have to say,
you get off
I'm
on that?
so stunned.
All right, when a biological
by how
man crushes
insulting
a
you're
girl
being
in a
towards
contact sport
invited
and
witness
sends her to
for
the ER,
testimony.
is that your idea of empowerment? Is that empowering women when a young man beats a girl and takes her, sends her to the ER in a contact sport? Is that empowering women? Is that what that is?
Are you talking about Miss McNabb?
I'm
Because
talking
they
about
thought
any
that was
woman who gets
horrific.
crushed in a sport by a
And
man
I
physically
actually
and
would
has to
love
go to
work
the
with
ER.
Ms. McNabb and others.
I'm going to
about
reclaim my
things like
time.
concussion
So,
protocols.
Madam
and
Chair, we'll
ensuring
show that the witness. I'm going to
volleyball is safe.
reclaim my
I'm a
time. You can
former
stop
volleyball
talking now. I'm
player.
reclaiming
This
my
is
time,
Ms.
Madam
Mace's
Chair.
time, Ms. Goss-Graves.
I would
thought
like
was
some of
allowed
that
to
time
answer.
back, Madam Chair. If a man can be a woman, just identify as a woman, as you say, just by saying so, what is the point of having women's sports? What is the point of women's spaces? What is the point of women's scholarships if you're just going to allow men to take them away? Why even bother? Why bother? The
whole
loudest voices, I'm not asking you a question, I'm
Oh, I
speaking.
thought they
The
were.
loudest voices on the left claiming to fight for women's rights are the very first people to take them away, steal them, and tear these women down. You're the first to erase them. Mr. Liefeld, Ms. Goss-Graves, you all are shameful.
I don't
I
believe
didn't come
that
here to
to be
play with an ideology hell-bent on erasing women.
This is the book of Job, chapter 39, verse 17, and it reads, Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazal from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. And what you just saw, I mean, what did it say? The so-called black woman is the most educated demographic. Didn't look like it in those two videos. That was by far the dumbest shit I ever heard. And I showed you in the beginning who was responsible for the Skittles movement, and now they have taken on the face of it, and in high places too. I mean, you just don't get to go to testify before Congress if you don't have something behind your name, and it's a freaking embarrassment. Okay, it's an embarrassment of those two videos. And these women are professors teaching other people that dumb shit. Genesis chapter 1, the Lord only created two genders, male and female. All right, male and female. But before I get deep into the lesson, I just want to declare fair use, according to the Copyright Act of 1976, as stipulated under Section 107. Fair use, according to the Copyright Act of 1976, as stipulated under Section 107. There's no monetary gain from this video. It's strictly for the purpose of educating and teaching. All right, so getting back to that, there's an old saying growing up in the hood, all the book sense in the world don't mean a damn thing if you don't have common sense, and neither one of them had that. My mother, a so-called black woman, says the worst thing in the world is a smart dummy. And here it is. They're real smart, but just dumb as fuck in the things that were said in that video. But once again, like I said, I showed you who led off the history of the Skittles movement, and Jake takes on the face of it. And since the beginning, Eve has been the pit bull for Esau, especially when it comes to destruction of our communities, hence the thumbnail and that picture, the superhero, him getting her to destroy the black community, and that's he's used as a tool. All right. But yeah, the Lord has not given them wisdom, this is because they don't have that wisdom. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 13. And it reads, A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. And one that is foolish is one who is without judgment. Okay. Clamorous, just loud, loud and annoying. Especially the one who looked like she was on cocaine in the first video, or eyes all bugged out and stuff. Like I said, she is simple and knoweth nothing. Really, really pushing that agenda of those Amalekites. We know according to their Talmud, they have like what, 7 genders? Like really? So who's pushing that shit. All right, look that up. They're the ones who's pushing that. Okay. And like I said, they really, really were embarrassing and sounded stupid with no logic whatsoever, pushing that agenda. And the same nation of people who promote that stuff had them looking stupid during the questioning. It's just ridiculous, but it's all for that paycheck and fame. All right. This is a book of Proverbs. I'm gonna get this in the NLT 14:8. It says, "The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit." Okay? You read it in the NLT right next to it. It says, "The prudent understand where they are going, but fools deceive themselves." And that's exactly what they did with that, indoctrination of Amalek's agenda. All these multiple genders and stuff. That's exactly what they were doing, deceiving themselves. All right? It makes no damn sense to get up there and say all that dumb shit. But, that's their lot, okay? That is their lot. But it's like now, you're the face of it. All right? You're the face of it. They know they can always use the so-called black woman to push shit like that. All right? Makes no sense. And always talking about they want a God, a fearing man. Yeah, right. You have no idea what that is, what you're asking for. Because it calls for order, no deviation from the scriptures whatsoever. All right? That's what it calls for. But once again, you don't have that wisdom. And all you look for is that power. All right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2. And verse 33. And it reads, "Why trimmest thou way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways." All right? And it's talking to us, the Israelites, that scriptures. What is our way? The law, statutes, and commandments. What is love? The Lord said, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Okay? And you got several scriptures that goes against those actions. All right? I'll get one of them. It says, "Therefore hast thou taught the wicked ones thy ways." Now you're the face of that when we know how it started. Okay? You're pushing that multi-gender stuff. Okay? All them damn pronouns and stuff. What the devils say? A legion, for we are many. He, she, her, them, they. All that nonsense. That makes no sense. But you pushing it. And the Lord going to destroy y'all for that. That's why, in that Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 4 through 6, a lot of you women are going to get fucked up. Number one, because you're hard-headed and rebellious. You're not supposed to be teaching. All right? But then you pushing that stuff. All right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. And it says, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto Yahweh thy power. All right. So that's at a minimum of wearing the garments. You know, the Lord supposed to said he gonna smoke you. Just the garments. But we know in today's age, with everything so advanced, it's not you getting everything else to match the opposite sex. All right. And then you have our people up there, you know, pushing that shit, making it law, making it policy. You know, you're gonna be destroyed for that, Eve. You're gonna be destroyed for that. You know, we are accountable for everything that we say and do. You know, and if y'all don't repent, you know, the Lord's gonna destroy you for pushing that shit. You know, man, it's gonna be a sight to see, because we know y'all have no accountability now. All right, zero. It's gonna lead to your destruction, quick, fast, in a hurry. All right, but they put you in those positions. All right, over the man. This is Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12. And it reads, as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. And that's, you know, children being those childish men. You know, you got the woman running the show, and the man leading in the way that, you know, she wants him to lead. All right. And it says, oh, my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy past. And what's the way of thy past? Everlasting life, immortality. All right. Lord quick said that's an abomination when you do those things. You know, and that's one of the hardest sins to get over. And it's interesting. You know, in Romans 1, it talks about the woman first, you know, and into that same-sex shit. And then it talks about the man. Because y'all wicked. All right? You be pushing that shit. Straight up. And you're going to have to pay for that. You know, you think you're on top of the world because of all of your degrees and doctorates and certificates and all that shit. That means nothing when you don't have the common sense to use it. You know how you came into this world. You know how people create. It didn't take all that to do that. It took male and female to do that. Period. And all that other shit y'all want to ascribe to it. You know, and like I said, you know, you cause people to err. All right, have them going off. And you're going to have to pay for that. Point blank, period. All right. This is the book of Sirach. Or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25. And verse 19. And it reads, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. It says all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. That, I mean, do you understand the magnitude of that? You got a whole nation of people called the wicked, Esau, Edom, according to Malachi 1 and 4. And right here, this scripture is saying that even their wickedness is nothing compared to yours. All right? Which is why, you know, you were the prime pick going all the way back to the garden to be his sidekick. You know? Eve, back in the garden, you know. You've always been Esau's pit bull. Always. And it says, let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. What is death? That's what that is. Not what is death. It says, what is sin? transgression of the law. All right. What is the wages of sin? Death. So when that angel, if he hasn't already, start going through it and marking those elect men, putting that mark in their foreheads, that the one, according to Ezekiel 9, chapter 9, verses 4 through 6. He gonna smite y'all and have no pity, just like that scripture says, that passage of scripture say. All right. But the elect men are gonna have that mark of exemption, because we not buying this shit that y'all selling. Scriptures clearly tell us, was that in Proverbs 31 and 3. Let me grab that. Proverbs 31 and 3. It says, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyed kings. And what is our number one strength? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, and what is our ways? The law, statutes, and commandments, keeping those as he commanded us to do. All right. When we yield that to a wicked ass woman, we're gonna die as well. Ain't nobody trying to do that shit. All right. But that's where y'all at right now. That's why you got a lot of Jake men, pulling away from you so-called Israelite women. Not so from you Israelite women, the so-called black woman. Jake is pulling away from you. Not gonna have, and the apostles keep telling us, leave Jake women alone, the so-called black woman alone. Leave her alone. All right, because you got the you got the ratchet ones out there. Don't know any better, ain't got no sense. All right, and look at the ones on the high level. They just as damn stupid. All right, and I'm not talking about all of y'all, but then again, the ones who are good and do have sense, you either don't say nothing or say dumb shit like it's y'all just be picking on black women. No, we don't. We calling out that bullshit. We calling out that dumb shit. Yes, we're gonna hold you accountable, and in the firmest way. You don't sugarcoat nothing with y'all. Fuck your feelings. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna tell you just like it is. All right. This is Sirach 25 and 25. Actually, I can start at 24. It says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Psh, don't get any clearer than that. All right. Verse 25 says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. And that's just the thing. You've been elevated. And I was reading somewhere, they give you those high-paying jobs, those employers do, because I was reading somewhere that the employer, which is most likely Edomite or Amalekite, is going to get a double credit, allegedly, a credit for a tax credit, double tax credit, allegedly, because you're a woman, and number one, and number two, you're a minority. All right, so that's how you get those jobs. Trust and believe. They're getting something out of it. One thing's for sure, Esau don't give you anything unless it's something to benefit him. All right? And we know that. But when he's done with you, he gonna kick you to the side, like we seeing already. You had in from what, March to April, black women lost like 106,000 jobs. But the thing is, it was more than that. That goes going back to February. It was over 200 and some thousand jobs, so-called black women. But this is what you get. For laying down with the devil. You know, you should have learned once. You should have learned the first time in the garden. You know, like I said, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Yeah, we all fucked up because you were rebellious. Okay, but the time is here now where, hey, you're gonna be on your own. All right, this is also Sirach chapter 12. Verse 13. It says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh a wild beast? You know, that first half of that, you know, you was charming the serpent in the garden, which we know, you know, what was the spirit of Esau, Cain. All right, through the spirit, if you can receive that, you know, we know who that was. All right, you were that charmer. It's like, who will pity you? We're not gonna feel sorry for you. All right. Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner, like you did, all right, getting on Amalek's agenda, all right, so that one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Not the elect men. Some of these other simps may pity you, but we're not. All right, so yeah, for that dumb shit, you know, you got a heavy judgment coming to you, getting up there saying that dumb shit. All right, so with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well and teaching this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be likened to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal. We got next. Shalom.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady. Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine. Only girls can be the mommies. Only boys can be the daddies, yes sir.